Hey! Reviews!
Back up in here, yo!
Spoilers!
Balls in your face for...
How does it end? Nope. No spoilers. That was playing. Alright. So, no black suit.
No.
There's a black suit, but not the black suit that we all want in this film. Yet, maybe.
Yeah.
Yet. So, how Spider-Man Far From Home ends, Peter Parker is triumphant at a cost.
He goes on a date with Mary Jane.
He does go on a date with Mary Jane. Kinda. So, this one was interesting. So, whether you're a comic book fan or you're just a fan of Spider-Man in general, of the movie series, or you grew up on the animated version, I think this one gives a little bit for everybody.
Yeah.
To some extent. Some people like the changes, some people don't like the changes. It's kind of give and take with this series so far. So in here we have Mysterio. I think everybody who has an idea of who Mysterio is in the comics, straight out, you know he's going to be a villain.
Yeah, you know he's going to be a villain. It's tricking or illusions or something like that that's going to happen and be the cause of why he's doing what he's doing.
Now, in the film, they make a mention of multiverses, and that the version that we're watching them on is Earth 616. In the comics, that is the main continuity.
Yes.
And Ian went and looked. The Earth that Mysterio claims to be from is...
It's the
Spider-Ham
universe.
So, which is interesting because, since this is spoilers, ladies and gentlemen, spoiler alert, there is no multiverse. It is a created story that Nick Fury and Peter Parker eat up. They believe it.
Well, not really Nick Fury.
Yes. So this is how it ends. It's going to be, I don't know, multi-layered, if you will.
Yes.
So yes, Peter Parker does prevail over Mysterio. Mysterio's whole goal, at the end of the day, it was another revenge plot against Iron Man.
Yes.
Which is, to Ian's point, did bring up, that is a little annoying that past villains from Homecoming and now...
They all have an issue with Iron Man. They're all technically Iron Man villains, and Spider-Man's kind of just in their way.
And he kind of is intercepting their dislike for Tony Stark somehow. This poor kid from Queens...
Yes.
Is
because the Vulture originally, I mean, he's upset of Tony Stark and taking him the cleanup and him losing his job, and so that's his comeback in the Homecoming. And now you have this one who worked for Tony Stark, and basically Tony Stark used his tech as like a plaything in terms of emotional coping mechanism with his dad or whatever it was.
Which is mentioned in Civil War.
Yeah.
Barf.
And then he calls it Barf. And he's like, you just called my life's work Barf. And so he basically wants Stark Tech to basically, become a hero and be loved and have all kinds of access and power.
And so he decides that the best way to do this is through manipulation and illusions. And each part of Stark Industries, like different factions, right? So they're the ones that were helping with I think it's Justin Hammer. I think that was his name.
Yeah.
Or they said that in the first Iron Man. Basically, the guy who was trying to redo his his arc reactor.
Ebediah. The guy working with Ebediah.
Yeah, the guy who worked with Ebediah. That was trying to recreate the fusion reactor, arc reactor. Sorry.
Arc reactor.
And he was like, Tony Stark made this in a cave.
And then he fired the guy.
Yeah, he fired the guy, but Jake Gyllenhaal's character recruits him.
Yeah, so he works for Beck in terms of basically the revenge plot.
Yeah, so it's kind of they show you like all these different people from different areas of Stark Tech basically have joined him in this huge revenge plot.
Yeah, like who comes up with the story, who comes up with like his lines to say, who knew that like Parker was getting these special glasses from Tony Stark that basically lets him control his whole automated system,
which he names Edith,
which in death,
I'm the hero. And wow.
Even in death,
I'm the hero. Tony, wow. You love your acronyms. Anywho, which gives Peter Parker, that turns into a whole nother thing we'll have to talk about as well. We could probably do 3 or 4 different spoiler videos just off of all the references and takes, but we're going to give you the main chunks here because I don't want this video to get too long. We will make a longer one if you guys want it, but I don't want this to get too long because as you can tell, I'm excited. I'm very excited about this film. It opens up so many possibilities.
Yes.
There are so many ways they can end up going from this.
Just on the 2 end credit scenes alone, they can basically branch out.
2 end credits technically. So the first end credit is at the very beginning of the end of the credits, before they roll credits. They end up showing you that Mysterio or his group has leaked footage, making it seem as if Peter Parker
launched the drone attack and the holograms on London.
And Mysterio found out it was Peter Parker and that he had to be the only one to be recognized as a hero like Iron Man.
Yeah, he had to be the new Iron Man and no one else could be. Mm-hmm. So basically because Mysterio tried to stop him, Parker had him killed.
Killed him.
Yes.
So it frames him as a bad guy, makes Mysterio look like he's the hero.
And before he goes off the air, he tells everyone Spider-Man's real name is
Peter Parker. Bum, bum, bum.
And they show a picture of him on like Madison Square Garden screen.
Yeah.
To the world.
So pretty much everyone knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And
now whether or not they believe that Peter Parker is Spider-Man might be a whole other thing.
And the way they do it is pure MCU Gold. Okay? The reason why I'm saying this is because the person who outs them on his news station, the Daily Bugle,
Net,
Mr.
J. Jonah Jameson.
That spider, I'll get you.
That he's a spider menace.
And supposedly Mysterio is the greatest hero that the world has ever known.
Like, screw Iron Man. Mysterio's the greatest hero that ever lived.
Forget the Avengers. What did they do?
Yeah.
Right?
He stopped Spider-Man. He stopped that He stopped that menace.
Yeah, Spider Menace. So I guess that in itself has implications as well. Okay, so clearly this version of Peter Parker will probably never work for the Daily Bugle.
Yeah, because it's more like a podcast video form in terms of
it's more of a social media type of newspaper. It's like a gossip type of news finding.
Yeah,
it's Fox News. So basically, that's end scene credit number 1. Stay in your seats because part 2 goes a little further and has even more implications for the MCU.
Yes, you see Maria Hill and Nick Fury in a car and they're talking, and all of a sudden Maria Hill transforms into a Skrull.
And you're like, what?
And they're like, oh, well, maybe Fury knew it was working, and then Fury transforms into a Skrull.
And then you're like, whoa! Because earlier in the film, they're walking and they make a mention, oh, it's crazy to find out that there are sleeper Kree agents. And you're like, what? And they just say that very nonchalantly and it rolls right into the next part of the scene. And then she's like, call him. And so the main guy, Talos from Captain Marvel.
Yeah, the couple from Captain Marvel.
Yep, of the Skrulls. Makes a call.
And he's talking about giving the glasses that Stark had to the kid, and it was like, oh, touching moment. And it was great. I mean, whatever. All hell went to rose after that.
Yep. And then so he's talking to Nick Fury. Nick Fury is vacationing on a spaceship.
Well, first they make it think like he's on a beach.
Yes.
And he's like vacationing on the beach, and then he gets up and you see it's a hologram, which is kind of ironic that he uses a hologram and just went through Mysterion. Mm-hmm. And you realize that he's on a spaceship. And he's like, back to work, people.
Has anybody seen my shoes?
Yeah. So now he's on a spaceship with a bunch of scrolls.
Which makes you wonder, because don't forget Samuel L. Jackson also voices Frozone.
Yeah.
Kind of a callback to, where's my super suit?
Yeah.
So, which, that in itself, again, huge implications there by putting the Skrulls working with Fury out in space.
So now it's like, well, is it Sword now? Because now we're in space, and are we protecting intergalactically?
Which, if you're a comic book fan, it just opens so many potential doors, okay? You've got Secret Invasion, which we all mentioned from the jump, I think, here on this channel.
Once Captain Marvel
got into the picture. We've been talking about that forever. There's maybe 2 different versions of Secret Wars they could do. I just thought about this when you said Sword. I don't think they would do this, but they could push towards Sin, original Sin, if they wanted to. Now, they don't have all the
They
characters.
showed the Watcher already.
Which is why I'm saying they could, right? And especially since now they have the X-Men characters, they could do a push to put those characters in, and then all of a sudden, bam! So
they also
it's possible.
Dark Avengers, because
Dark Avengers seems very likely.
Because the leak of Mysterion's video, there's a motive behind it.
Yep.
So there's still someone that was above Mysterion that was basically pulling strings to get Spider-Man to look like a villain in the public. So someone has to come in and be the new hero.
Yep. And then so going forward, we were talking about they could release films where at the end of each film, there's someone that's going to replace that hero. Or there's someone that's coming up against that hero as part of the Dark Avengers. Or a replacement as part of the Dark Avengers. Thor supposedly off-world. Maybe the Ragnarok is what we saw in that previous film, but there's also a version of Thor that's like Ragnarok, but that's the robot Thor, like the cyborg Thor, basically. No, it's a robot, right? It's not cyborg.
Yeah,
it's robot. And that one actually kills a hero in the comic on that one, and then because of that, they end up finding out that it's a robot. They're like, whoa, Thor just killed somebody, and they're like, oh, it's a robot, kill him. So they could do that. There's so many spin-offs and so many ways that they could take this right now.
And we're just looking at the planet side. There's still a whole other side they can go galactic with Captain Marvel, with the Guardians, and everyone that's off-world.
Which they're talking about being the Asgardians of the galaxy.
Which is the current comic currently. So, it's gone and they switched up the Guardians into so.
Yeah, so it's very possible they could do that. We might end up seeing something similar to where they had Ragnarok, right? Where it was a basically superhero buddy comedy film between Hulk and Thor. You might see something like that where
the new Guardians, Thor is with them, so the new Guardians, you might have Thor with the Guardians. So all this they can throw out there with what's going on Earth. You never know.
And there's still Adam Warlock.
There's Adam Warlock. You still got Panther. You still got Strange. What's going to go on with them and their interaction and what's going on.
Also, part of the Dark Avengers, there is a different version of Black Widow. So we just lost Black Widow, but in the comics, there is like a counterpart, another female that kind of went through the same training as Natasha, but went down the spy route for Russia.
Yeah.
So, and she's blonde, so she could easily take her place as the last known
so
Black Widow. So you
never
never know.
Norman Osborn, could show up. Iron Patriot, because
I'm gonna call it now. If they go the Dark Avenger route, that means somewhere in the end credits of this Black Widow movie that's gonna come, they're gonna show like however that ends, and then they'll fast forward to present time, and then they're gonna activate like whatever agent was gonna take her place and like, are you ready?
Yeah.
Something like that. Again, speculation. Could be. I think
lots of speculation on this because they really haven't mapped out where they're going.
Nope.
They still have a couple cosmic movies in terms of the Eternals.
Oh yeah, the Eternals. Yep.
So they're gonna go the cosmic route going on. So what they're gonna go on Earth, you don't know until maybe Panther or Strange.
I think we won't know until the next Avengers film, right? Because none of us knew Thanos was in the cards until that first Avenger credit movie.
Yeah, and I think Secret Invasion will probably pop up later. I think it's gonna be something where like you'll see like Super Skrull
I think Secret Invasion makes the most sense.
But I think that's gonna be like the Thanos underline.
Yep.
Where there's gonna, I think it'll probably go toward Dark Avengers first.
Because technically, you could still do that and still lead towards Secret Invasion.
Yeah, I think they lead toward Dark Avengers first, and then they'll do like Secret Invasion going the entire way.
Mm-hmm. So they definitely
either one is cool, and I'm happy with either one.
I would love if they do both, personally.
Yes.
And
then
what else?
All ends with an awesome Secret Wars.
Segueing back into the character, right? So Peter Parker himself in this film, man, he's the overeager hero in Homecoming. He is the reluctant hero in this film. With everything that he's been through, that he's lost, he doesn't really want to be that guy. He doesn't want to be everyone's number one option.
I think part of it is
he's happy to help, but he doesn't want to be responsible.
I think part of it is I don't know if he's not the fact that he wants to be the number one option. I don't think he's fully mourned Iron Man, and then everyone's asking, "Are you going to replace him now?"
Yep.
So
there's a lot of pressure.
So everyone's going, "Are you replacing him now?" And I don't think he's still got on the fact that like I think he wants to get away to kind of just like gather himself and be,
He wants a break.
Yeah, he wants a break.
Vacation.
He wants a break to kind of just like, all right, let me get away from this. Let me clear my thoughts. Let me get this going, so I don't have to just be all this pressure of being the new Iron Man.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. Think about it. This version of Peter Parker is a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, hey, you were going to replace, like, someone who was leading the Avengers. Yes. Right? A lot of people, Captain America, but basically it's Cap and Iron Man.
Yeah. And now it's also,
you're replacing one of the head figures, right?
And it's like you looked up to him, and he basically was guiding you in terms of your mentor, and now you're like, I got to replace him?
Yep.
And that's just kind of like the pressure he's in. Like, I don't know if I'm good enough to replace him. I don't know if I have everything I need to replace Iron Man.
And then there's the scene where he's talking to Mysterio, where he's like, "Oh, it just feels really good to be able to talk to someone else about the superhero stuff." So he's letting you know, hey, like, I want to talk to someone else that's in this position, not Nick Fury. He doesn't count Nick Fury as a superhero.
Because he doesn't have the power. And I think he's just isolated because he's never really had contact with another superhero besides Iron Man. And that's his only other outlet was Iron Man, but there's no one else there now to talk about.
And then brief introductions with the other heroes, right?
Yeah, like he's known
like he corrects Ant-Man. He's like Doctor Strange, not Mister.
Yeah, like he knows them, but he doesn't know them. Like he can't just call them up and like, hey, what's going on? How are you feeling? What are you doing? Like he doesn't have any close relationships with any other of the superheroes.
Yeah.
And then most of them just see him as a little kid. So that's also that gap that they have.
Yep. So there's a lot going on for him past what I think a lot of people will see. I believe your moviegoer that's also in the comics will see that transition. I think it's easy to miss and overlook though because it is billed as just like, a family fun summer film that's action. But there's a lot of depth to what Peter's going through. He literally goes through a huge change as far as his character is concerned. Like, okay, like, because I didn't want to accept this responsibility that was placed on me, which is a kind of a call to that great responsibility that people always talk about for Spider-Man. He releases that responsibility to someone he doesn't even know because he's so eager to just let go and forget when
he wants to just have a fun summer, relaxed away. So he's like, I'll give this power to someone else. They can do the job, and I can just come in and be that neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yep.
That was fun.
Which goes back to the whole thing of where he says, "Oh, not my problem."
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of that mentality of thinking, but it really is, right? He's been gifted these abilities for only he knows what reason. True comic fans know the reason, and he needs to step up to the plate, right? He needs to play with the big boys. That's why Tony recruited him back in Civil War. That's why he went to him again, time and time again. That's why he made him the suits, all that stuff.
Why he's always just been on him to be better than what he is.
Better than him, right? He's like, hey, like, I had to wait till I was an adult, and I got trapped in a cave, and my heart was about to be, basically stabbed through from shrapnel to realize that I can do better. He's like, I don't want you to do that. I want you to do better now because you can, right? And it's really interesting too when Jake Gyllenhaal's character Quentin like plays up to never apologize for being the smartest person in the room.
Because when he talks about the multiverse, he goes into it just like all the theories of the multiverse, and everyone's like, "Whoa, that's a lot there." And he's like, "Oh, sorry." Like,
but it's really cool.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah, like, you just went over everyone's heads, but he's used to talking that with Stark. And so now he's like, I can't really do that in terms of Stark. So it's like, and then even the world, because they talk about how the world is built and where the world's going. And, it's been 5 years since some of these people have been on the planet. And they kind of go over what happened and the snap and then them reappearing. And you see like at a basketball game, the people actually snap back. And then what happens with people that have been displaced, because people that, if you live by yourself and you got snapped.
And Peter Parker's teacher on the plane.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for this dude. He's like, yeah, well, with the blip, my wife acted like she got
looked at our existence, and she actually just ran off with
like a hiking instructor or something like that, and then like
I had a fake funeral. Well, the funeral was real, but
that was so bad.
Yeah, and I guess because Aunt May's in a program that basically tries to find people homes because they've been gone for 5 years. People are dead. They sold their house.
She even said when she reappeared, they thought she was like the homeowner's mistress or street worker or a ghost.
Yeah, because she just reappeared in the house.
Yeah.
And there's someone else already living there. Like, your place was sold because you've been gone for 5 years.
Yep.
And it's just people coping with, I don't have a place and belongings anymore. I've been gone for 5 years. And then the fact that even in the high school, where the people are popping back, and it's like, people that I were classmates with are like in their 20s now, and I'm still in high school. Or people that you knew that were younger than you, like their younger brothers are now older than they were.
And the crazy part, where they said like the school year was over for a lot of them, but when they got brought back, it's the beginning of the year.
Yeah. So they do the whole school year all over again.
Technically doing that whole year over. So it's pretty wild, kind of seeing all the after effects of everything. And given all the crazy ish that happened, this sets up the stage for Mysterio's character to make the comment that he says at the end to Peter Parker. As he's dying, he says, "This world will believe anything you show it."
Yeah.
Right? And he says show it. Not that it actually is true, but that you show them. Right?
Because they've seen so much crazy stuff.
Yep.
That now it's like, well, anything is possible. People can die and they come back 5 years later. I mean, what can...
Yeah, where's the limit?
I mean, like even Peter talked about like mythology, and he goes, yeah, like, there was, mythology was fake once, but then now they teach Thor in my history class, in science class.
Yeah.
Because now they show that, Thor, his whole mythology is real now. It's like, teach it now in schools because Thor's real.
Which gives good ground for the guy who's on Mysterio's team to come up with the story about how these elementals through history and time, which is all fake.
From his different multi-universe, so his dimension, basically his Earth was destroyed and he's the last one left.
Which is crazy because the movie makes a lot of people think from the trailer that this is going to be the breakaway or the segue into the multiverse. It's not, though, because it's all a lie.
Yeah.
So that makes you think, though...
There still could be a point where the multiverse happens.
Yep.
But now it's like, would they actually believe it because of Mysterio?
Yep, exactly.
Which could lead way to the Dark Avengers if they have more than one. Even if you do one from the multiverse, Dark Avengers... Where does it open the door to people not believing it because multiverse isn't real?
Which eventually could lead towards the Skrull invasion, making them think like, hey, this hero, the Snap as well, right? Like this hero is dead. Why is this hero back?
Yeah,
it's a Skrull.
It's a Skrull,
right?
Oh, I'm from another dimension.
Because that's what they did in the comics. Yeah. They were like, didn't this person died, but somehow they survived this accident, but they were replaced by a Skrull.
Yeah, or in a different dimension, and it's just like I'm different. That's why I act a little different, or whatever it is.
Because I'm from Earth, blah 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 blah, right? So there's a multitude of different ways that they could spin this. They can bring in all kinds of different stuff. No Stan Lee cameo.
No.
Didn't shoot one for Far From Home before he passed, unfortunately. So looks like Endgame is the last one we'll see him in. So, yeah, kind of sucks, but hey,
It all happens,
Yeah, it all happens. You know, it would have been kind of cool in the opening like memorandum that the school does.
Yes.
It would have been cool if they fit him in there somehow.
But it was funny though when he comes in and you start hearing Whitney Houston, "I will always love you," and it starts going to Tony Stark, and it has.
I'm like, this better not be some weird like Ned and Peter like.
I thought it was at first. I thought it was gonna be Peter doing like some school assignment for Tony, and is basically making this like memorandum for him. But it makes it even worse because it was like badly done, and it was done for like the school news.
Yeah, and then did you notice that? So did you see the Instagram name for Flash Thompson?
I did not.
It's Spidey #1 fan.
Because he goes in and he defends Spider-Man hard through the entire
to the end. Like he is like his biggest fan. He even says he's like, what? He does really good things for the neighborhood. And he goes, he makes me want to be a better person, right? And
I want to see his reaction when he finds out it's Parker.
Yeah,
because he hates Parker so much.
And like right after that, like we all see in the trailers, where he's like, "What's up, douchebag?" And then he's like, "What's up, dick?" And he's like, "Hey."
Yeah. Like after just praising Spider-Man.
And in this one too, I think it's interesting that Mary Jane figures out that he's Spider-Man technically, and then he doesn't want to tell her.
But then like she finds a piece of the tech, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm Spider-Man." She's like, "Oh,
I was 66%
sure." Like I wasn't really 100% sure you were. I was just like a stab in the dark, but okay.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I liked it. And then the other giveaway too that we talked about earlier is Nick Fury, aka Talos, technically talks about how at the funeral he didn't think it was the appropriate time to approach Peter Parker. So that lets us know that at Tony's funeral there was probably not a lot of interaction between the heroes because there's no other mention of all the other heroes that we see.
Yeah, like Peter Parker basically asked for like Hulk and Thor, and then he goes Captain Marvel. Don't invoke her name.
That was funny.
But and then basically saying they're not available or they're off world or wherever it is, and then he just lists like the ones that he kind of knows. Like he doesn't mention Panther or Ant-Man or Falcon,
Winter Soldier,
like ones that he wasn't that close.
Shuri, Okoye, Black Panther.
Yeah, like they're not close to them, so like
Hawkeye.
Yeah, like it's just the ones he's not close to, so he doesn't need to talk to him. But he knows Strange, like he met Strange, but I don't think Strange sees him on a level to really interact with him. Mm-hmm. So that's why he hasn't even asked for Strange.
Pepper Potts as rescue, maybe.
I think she's done. I don't think she wants to be a part of it.
After what happened? Yeah. You never know.
I mean, she had, they have
Wasp, Ant-Man.
Yeah, he didn't even bring up Ant-Man or Wasp, but he doesn't really know them either.
All still in New York.
Yeah. We was in New York. Because they're national, yeah.
It's S.H.I.E.L.D. They can talk to anyone.
There's no S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore.
No more S.H.I.E.L.D. No more S.H.I.E.L.D.
There's no more S.H.I.E.L.D., so they can't really bring him up. But yeah.
But we saw S.H.I.E.L.D. at the end of Endgame.
Yes, because Happy at the end sees his little drone come in and he throws the shield at it.
Oh, that was hilarious.
And it just falls way short. He's like...
I don't know. I feel
I saw him pick the shield up and I was like, is he going to throw it? Because I feel like he's going to throw it.
So he makes the motion like Cap. Yeah. But it kind of like flops out from his arm. Yeah, and it falls way short. Like it just kind of like... And then it falls. And he's like... How does Captain America do that? He's like, how does Cap do that? And then like closes the door behind him. But it's really good. They do a lot of callbacks. Okay. Really good job kind of building and using the MCU that they've created. It's really, really cool. All the previous films and what have you. So very interesting. Lots of comedy between Aunt May and Happy and Peter Parker.
Yeah, in their relationship, and they're trying to hide their relationship from Parker, or trying to be secretive, and he's just kind of like, this is weird. Why are you guys talking like this?
Yeah, and then also, we've kind of been told this before, and this has been hinted before, that Peter Parker will be now the nucleus that holds everyone together in the phases going forward. He is going to be what Iron Man was for everything else. He was that focal point, and he's taking his place. There's a moment in this film where Happy opens up the hatch, and it goes to basically like a miniature Stark lab in the back, and he's back there moving the 3D models,
creating his new suit,
and looking at tech, and he just kind of
he's
looking
like,
at him.
Extra arms? Nah, I don't want those anymore.
Yeah, and he's looking at him like, this is just like Tony. And he's like, you work on a suit? I'll handle the music. Right? And then he's like, oh, I love Led Zeppelin. And which is what Tony used to like to rock out to. So it was really cool to kind of see that come full circle, right? Like we hear rumors, you read things, and then to actually see it come to fruition on the big screen is a whole nother thing. It was like, it's very cool to see it, in my opinion.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, any other spoilers you want to share?
I think we went through a lot without going super long.
Surprisingly, there is more we could still talk about. So we'll cut it here. Thank you once again for all the likes, the comments, the shares, all you new subscribers. We appreciate you. We love you even though we don't know you. Thank you for the
share it to everybody.
Keep sharing it out there. Spread the word. AI reviews. Merchandise coming soon.
Yeah.
Couple AI reviews shirts, maybe some hats, some buttons. Everyone likes buttons. Button. Who's got a button? Beat me up, Scotty.